Yo guys, my name is Ellie Games, and welcome back to Let's Play The Lighter. Where we last left off, we just started Marion's route. We also finished up Zachary's. Zach had two endings. Well, there's, I think, technically three, but the two endings we saw, he was killed by Hana in the jail cell. It looked like she probably took his eyes. And then the other one is when you decide not to go into the mansion, and I think he meets up with Ash, Ash and Isabella. So far, Marion's, we didn't get that far. She went out drinking with her friends, because I guess one of them got engaged, and she had a night with Luke. We chose not to sleep with him. Ew, just saying, ew, not with him. But, it's gonna be awkward when she finds out that is her client, or her client's husband. It's gonna be so awkward. But anyways, we'll keep on going. It isn't often that I think about drinking on the job, but after meeting with the Wrights yesterday really makes me want to break my self-imposed rules. Because first off, fucking damn whiskey was fucking damn Mr. Wright. And to top it all off, they had somehow forgotten to inform me that they didn't own the Ermengarde mansion yet when they hired me. What sort of person does that?
Ugh, rich people.
I could do nothing but twiddle my thumbs at this, however. Twiddle my thumbs and wait for the go signal. It's not like I can accept other smaller projects. This is a big job, and I should be ready to start on it at any time. Not to mention that my PA practically begged me to be patient and wait this out. It was a hard decision to agree, but I did so in the end. Besides, I'm doing this for the Ermengarde mansion, not for anything or anyone else. You sure? I'd have a headache whatever I do anyway. I go to the pub again, but seeing what happened a few days ago, I'd rather not end up in bed with another potential client. And it might be a huge leap in logic, but a library is the next best thing after the pub. I have to go there anyway. I need more books for Dad. Plus I also need to return the ones I borrowed last time. Finding a new book or two to read for myself while I had nothing to do isn't such a bad idea either. So on a Saturday morning, I found myself going to the only library in Luxborn to hopefully cool off. After returning an Urzelli, a poetry book by Henry of Podebrady, I asked the librarian about the several titles on my list, but I don't have much luck on that front. Dialogue with Death has already been snatched, and she bluntly said that she did not keep our mathematical universe for someone who didn't return books on time. I make headway at least when I asked about a siege and rendition of Havana by Jacobo de Pezuela. If you count her snarling and pointing at the history section as headway, that is. The history section is devoid of any other except for myself and a redhead. But I'd wager against that Red's just passing by to get to the classical literature section. Is Redhead gonna be Becca? That's gonna be her? Except it's probably gonna be Becca. So many books, so little time. Scanning the books and seeing so many wonderful titles gives me great pleasure. I know how you feel there. It's like, I want to read all these books, but everything else just gets in the way. And that's when I spot it.
Hello, sailor. Why don't you come to Mama?
It's not the naval book I was looking for, no. It's even better. The newly acquired History of Luxborn Architecture, first edition too. I know I just have to get it. I've been waiting to get my hands on the book for so long. The fact that there is only one copy proves to be a problem, though, when Red reaches out for it the same time as I do.
I think I had this first, miss.
Yep. I can only stare her down when she refuses to let go of the book. Refusing to let go of it as well, I raised a brow at her in the hopes that the fact that I was significantly taller than her would intimidate the girl. You thought wrong. Even then, she refused with a rebellious look.
This isn't exactly light reading, miss. I mean, do you even know which architect was at the forefront of 18th century Irish architecture?
A beat. She blinks and I can't help the smirk on my face, which is wiped off when she opens her mouth.
Edward Lovett Pierce, who established the Palladian style through his work with Castletown House and the Irish Houses of Parliament. This bridge was destroyed in this year to delay French troops while under the regency of Mary of Guise.
This is not what I was expecting. Let's be honest. How many people know about these history facts? Aside from me, anyway.
Going right to the obscure ones, aren't you? Easy enough. Tullybody Old Bridge in Clackmannanshire, Scotland. On the January of 1560, if we want to be specific.
Suddenly, it's a game where we throw these history questions and facts at each other, back and forth, in hushed tones unless we want to be thrown out of the library. After a while, it goes from some strained competition into this strange but friendly banter, if it could be called that. But as fun as it is, the exchange soon slows until we are grinning at how odd this whole scene is.
Marianne McCulloch, my desire for potatoes doesn't quite match what the stereotypes suggest.
Rebecca Gales, the Scots' supposed hatred for the English wasn't enough to stop me from teaching their little spawns.
By then, we had forgotten about our little tug of war, although she still holds the book in her hands. I let go of it without realizing when she answered my first question.
History teacher, then?
Got it in one.
No wonder you gave me a run for my money. Now, if we're talking about architecture, I'd blow you out of the water. You're from where? Luxburn Uni?
Oh no, just St. Goretti's.
Ah, yes, St. Goretti. You'd think a school would choose a more appropriate saint to name themselves after, especially when they have very young students. Why?
And I'm guessing you're an architect, if you're so confident about the subject.
Interior designer, Miss Gales.
Please, just call me Rebecca. You aren't one of my students, are you?
Marianne, then.
I could have said I was an architect, but there's no point in explaining why I wasn't one anymore.
So, I've never seen you before. I'd like to think I've met every history aficionado in town.
I blame the rock I've been hiding under, of course. That, and I'm usually only here on the weekdays if time allows. Work often has me meeting clients on the weekends.
That must be interesting work.
It allows for some creative freedom, sure, but it's like working with children sometimes. Though you probably have it harder working with actual children. The hardest part is convincing them that your idea is their idea.
That sounds exciting.
It is!
But isn't that true for any workplace, though?
I can imagine.
We just cross our fingers and hope there aren't any man-children in charge of important things. Any big projects right now? I can't imagine that interior designing is a frequent thing.
I'm working on the Ermengarde mansion. Lucky me. That mansion. Intach. Wonderful. Breathtaking.
Me.
I can't wait to start in it. Now that is beautiful architecture.
Pause. Oh, she's not too sure about it. It looks like she wants to say something at my mention of the house. And I'm surprised. That place is certainly popular with the locals, especially with the urban legends attached to it. In the next second, though, she seems to think better of it and drops what she's about to say.
So, do you have a portfolio or anything I can take a look at? I'd love to see your designs. Maybe you have some on a tablet. I've met some designers before, and they're always going crazy over these virtual room apps or another.
A tablet? Please. Callicrates didn't need those silly eye-tabs when he built the Parthenon. I certainly don't need one to design a house.
She doesn't seem to be the one to have all that fancy shit. Like, a computer is enough for her. The computer back at my place is all I have. Why should I buy such an expensive gadget that will just get outdated within a year, when what I have is just as functional? The traditional ways had a far more personal touch, in my opinion. Not to mention, those smartphones are awful tools of procrastination. I can't even count on one hand the number of people I see going outside, only to have their eyes glued to the things. And fuck touchscreens. They're evil things that make typing, what should have been a simple task, harder. That is true. I can barely
do have an
type on my
online
phone.
portfolio, if you'd like. I can...
Speaking, or thinking of the devil seems to have summoned it, because before I can even carry on, Rebecca's attention wanes as she pulls out her mobile. For what I can only assume is a call, she gives me an apologetic look before standing up and excusing herself. Off farther into the aisle she goes, for some privacy. I did my best to give it to her as well, trying to tune her out.
Well, is something wrong? Lunch at the coffee house? Sure, I can make it. I'm not too far. I can be there in 10.
With how quiet the surrounding is, she can't blame me if I overhear snippets of her conversation. When she returns with a sheepish look on her face, another friendly chat has to be cut short.
Sorry, I have to go and meet with some friends.
It's fine. Totally fine. No need to even apologize.
About the book.
Her embarrassment increases twofold when she realizes she's still holding on to History of Luxembourg architecture. I don't give her time to think about it as I put a hand up and shake my head. Fishing out a pen and paper from my bag along with one of my business cards, I hand them over to her.
You know, I'm busy with work, so I might not even be able to take a peek at it anytime soon. You can go ahead and have it. But you'll have to ring me up when you're returning it just so I can snag it right away. Deal?
She makes quick work, penning her number down and handing it back to me with a grin.
Deal. Just message me during school hours, of course. You have a good day then.
You too.
With Rebecca gone, I'm left sitting alone in the history section. Although my original plans were simply to sit down and read a good book, a little pop quiz, if you could call it that, made the time pass by without any of us even realizing it. It was fun, and I do believe I made a new friend. Good job, Marion. Even with the talk of lunch, however, I don't feel like grabbing a bite to eat. There are still other books to be read here. I'm hoping to find something that will help me while I work with the Wrights. Something like How to Deal with Arseholes Professionally 101, just in case. I've dealt with a lot of uppity, snooty, and rich clients before, but still better to be safe than sorry. Because Luke Wright just takes the fucking cake. He probably manages to eat it too. It seems the world is conspired to keep me from my me time, as my mobile vibrates in my pockets the moment I find something from the shelves of the classic literature section.
Marianne McCulloch, Charlie Rose Design speaking.
Rose Cooper here, Miss McCullough. I hope I didn't catch you at a bad time or anything.
When does this... Alright, so she just met the client that day, right? So she has like a day or two left before
I
she
just wanted to
dies.
check in and tell you that we've got the clear to hand over the documents.
Okay.
Madam Wright told us that we should forward the floor plans to you.
I think this is the day, maybe the day before she goes missing. Already? How did they go through the process so fast? Surely there's so many red tape to even acquire the forms of transferring of rights. No matter how rich the Wrights are, it shouldn't be this quick, right?
So, if I can just have your email, I'll be sending them your way.
I'd actually like a physical copy of the floor plans.
Oh, I suppose that's fine. I'm not at the office right now, but I can inform Miss Santos of your request.
I'll make sure to drop by the office after lunch if that's fine.
Not a problem. Right. Well, cheers.
Right. Cheers.
I don't know. I just don't. Is there some sort of deeper miscommunication when we last met? These things take time. It's been, what, a day? Less than that even. Okay, so... She died... Alright, so... The 22nd is when she died, technically. Okay. Yep, so Rose died on the 22nd. Alright, so this is we are on the 21st then? I'm guessing? On the way... I think. So are we on the 21st, maybe? Open house. Unless it is the 22nd, we'll find out like soon. There isn't even a point in trying to make sense of these people who seem to be larger than life. Okay, she dies this day. It looks like I'm on the clock starting today. I might as well eat. All right, I want to. Whoop, laptop, you're in my way. Gotta move you a little bit. All right, so yeah, she dies this day. Marion befriended Rebecca Gales during a visit to the library. Marion received a call from Rose Cooper afterwards, informing her that the Ermengarde Mansion's floor plans were ready for pickup at their office. Alright, I'm going to save. Grabbing some fish and chips from one of the street food stalls, I found a table to spend some time with a copy of Marquise de Sade's The Crime of Love, since Rebecca left with the book I wanted. I've read this one before, along with the rest of his works. This would be the 18th time, in fact. Damn! But it's always nice to read it through again, when I don't have time to enjoy something new. Besides, when we're dealing with people so filthy rich that they end up plain filthy, you need the good old Marquise sound advice.
La blessure se trouvant sans aucune sorte de conséquence.
The wound being without any consequence. Of course, it's folly to think that things have no consequence, when everything actually does. I almost said reality again. Briar Realty Corporation's Leftsburn branch isn't too far off from the city center, just a few blocks away, and I can easily eat and walk. I'd rather use this time to rest before I go into a flurry of activity. No doubt. There'll be so much to do once we get hands-on with the mansion.
Still a lot better than working on another condo, at least.
Surely, no matter how much BRC and the old owners put into the restoration and preservation of the place, any big repairs would be superficial at most. I'm quite certain that, in their haste to sell the property, they did a rush job. Excuse me. It isn't an infrequent thing to do despite how it is frowned upon. There will be a lot of hidden issues that I'll need to weed out, and I have to make sure I find every single one of them, especially the more serious damages. Structural integrity is definitely on top of the list and we'll have to consider. So she's like not just like, okay, this is how I'm gonna make your house look nice. It's like, okay, we gotta figure out what could be wrong with the house and fix this house more than it already is. So they gotta look like into like the actual depths of the house and make sure the structure is good. You know, they said about updating the kitchen, so she has to figure out how to do that, and that's kind of cool. I thought it was more just like, you know, this carpet would go great with this wallpaper, and you know, this shit like that. But it's more than I thought. The building might look sturdy, but it's centuries old. That alone will likely pose a few problems here and there, put limitations on what we can do. Besides, despite how much I detest these rich snobs, they can pay rather handsomely, so long as they do an excellent job and do more than necessary. Those two things always made sure the referrals keep coming. I don't even have to hunt down projects for myself. When I go into BRC's office, I can't help but stop and stare when I enter the building. With the lunch hour closing, employees should have been back already, if they still aren't filtering through the doors. I get that it's a Saturday, that people probably feel tired and lazy to be working on the weekend, but they're still on the clock and not bumming about wasting company time on extended lunch breaks and cigarette sessions. The office is spacious, as it is with these big corporations. Each person is given their little space of what's usually by a 2x2 meter cubicle. There's a lot more empty chairs than there are actual people working at their desks. It reminds me far too much of my last day at Porskova Projects during the massive layoffs due to the Irish economic crisis. But it isn't just that, though. Everything is as quiet as a grave. It's as if these people are merely ghosts. Speaking of ghosts, Santos comes in through the door, looking as she's just seen one. She looks at me, wide-eyed like a deer caught in the headlights, ready to bolt at any moment. I'd ask, out of concern, but I feel it's not my position to do so. What if it's something personal, and simply be overstepping my boundaries? Really, it's none of my business.
I presume that Miss Cooper told you why I'm here, Miss Santos?
Huh? Oh, yeah. Sorry, I just got back from lunch, you know? But it won't take too long, don't worry.
Of course it won't. This whole project has established itself to be a matter done in haste. I do hope it doesn't mean that people are being careless in their duties.
She flinches and looks like she doesn't quite know how to respond to that. Thankfully, instead of opening her mouth, she leads the way towards her station and goes to fetch the floor plans. It won't take too long, as she said, but it does take a bit. Time spent to compose herself, most likely.
You know, we usually just email these things.
I prefer the real thing.
Not that you would know. You probably have your nose stuck in front of a smartphone when you're not working, and even when you should be working, playing those mindless, addictive games. I definitely wish Chris would stop playing that bat cat thingy during work hours, too. Is that what she does? Is that why she got that cat bat plushie, the bat cat plush?
I know what you mean. Digital painting is nice, but nothing beats the smell of real paint. Not that I go and smell paint like a crazy person, but, you know, the real thing is different.
Wait, what?
Yes, nothing is quite like the real thing.
Checking out the floor plans, I see I'll have a lot going for me. Now I know how Ray felt when he found the Central Park West building floor plans from that one movie. So there's yeah. We haven't been in the music room, or the gallery, or the quarters. There's a lot of places we haven't been in yet. Oh god, the conference room, the theater, the study room, or the other bedroom. Yeah, we haven't been in a lot of places yet. We haven't been into the one attic either. This is why I became an architect in the first place. Jacobian style at its finest. It's a thing of beauty. Look at these gorgeous rooms, the delicate harmony between empty spaces. And speaking of empty spaces, there's something rather odd about these ones.
I feel a bit silly saying it out loud because I've never lived in a big house, let alone a mansion. But during the tour, I had the distinct impression that the rooms were bigger. Maybe the scale is wrong? It's not much of a problem. And it is an old house.
There have been little details here and there that I would have liked to address during the open house too. But it was all forgotten in the wake of Miss Santos' incident and the trouble with ownership. The wine cellar is going to be a problem. I sure to think of what sort of repairs they did to the place. There might have been things that were swept under the rug, pushed to the dark corner of the rooms, and hidden away in barrels. Water damage could have been covered up. There have been floods due to heavy rains in West England just last year, after all. If there's any sort of damage to the house's foundation, that's going to be a lot of work. I was not able to look at the attic as well. For all I know, a whole family of vermin could have made their nest there. Working with pest control is always the worst. The sheer size of this place is staggering, even if I did just say it's a lot smaller than I thought. I might just be biting off more than I can chew, but who doesn't like a good challenge? First things first, I'll have to...
So, do you want a coffee? The one from the staff room is pretty decent.
There's really no need. I'm sure you have rules against it.
Rules against bringing someone coffee? That's ridiculous, and even if there were regulations against it, nobody's really here to tell Sir John. I've already brought 2 mugs, and I'm not going to drink them on my own. Come on.
I have to stamp down my annoyance at being distracted. Seeing the young woman though, it looks like she has a lot on her mind. If babbling is her way of dealing with stray thoughts, I'm not really the one she should be babbling to. How should I respond? Oh man, don't be mean, Marion. Don't be mean. Just listen to her. Just listen to her. I give her time to speak up, but when she just stares, I clear my throat.
Yes? You have something to say?
As embarrassment creeps up on her face, I snatch one of the coffees from her and take a sip. And we maxed out Isabella. Interesting. Too hot.
Just thinking and speaking off the record, it must be fun what you do. You go to people's houses and you make them, well, pretty. You're sharing your art with them.
It's a little bit more complex than that. But if you put it that way, it is fun. I wouldn't have done it for 7 years if it wasn't a little bit fun, I guess.
These big clients always have paintings in their homes. Do you have a supplier for art pieces?
I didn't expect to hear such a question from her, seeing how well she handled herself yesterday. I didn't doubt then why she was assigned to an important sale at the Ermengarde mansion, despite the little accident she had. Now she just looks too young, too nervous, and unsure of herself. Although, her enthusiasm must make up for that in spades. In fact, I wouldn't have believed it if she had introduced herself the way she is at the moment. Why, watching her now, she actually looks like she should still be in charge, or in college. I don't know why I said charge. Acts a bit like it too when I think about it. I thought she was a teen slumming it out in the mansion when I first saw her there, lying on the ground. Surprise, surprise, she turned out to be the one of the estate agents handling the property.
The clients usually support artists of their own choice. If they don't, I'm always happy to refer those that I know.
That's cool.
They're very picky. I don't think a hobbyist will have an easy time getting their work sold.
Hey, I'll have you know I was a student of the fine arts.
And yet here you are, selling property. Maybe you weren't a very fine student of the arts.
Maybe I took that a bit too far. She bites her cheek, and it looks like she's barely holding herself back.
It's not like I had a choice.
She mutters under her breath. I barely even hear it. But the hurt is there, and it makes me wonder what brought it on. Although it is understandable, for reasons why I think it is. Very few people make it big in the art world. I can see why she'd be upset about it, with that enthusiasm. I didn't have a choice when I left Ireland. It was either that or years of unemployment. The recession and the toll it took on the construction industry was out of anyone's control. I don't know what choice she was able to make, whether it was about her being at art school or something else. It was something else. But the world isn't a fair place, and the sooner she accepts it, the better. Still, with that forlorn look on her face, I can't help but sigh. The girl reminds me far too much of myself when I was younger.
Well, if you're thinking of commissioning your paintings, I'll have to see your work first.
Oh, it's not... I didn't mean it like that. I don't have any paintings.
Really? You sounded a lot like you still did art or want to. Now I'm starting to worry that you might just like the smell of paint.
I'm not a paint huffer, sheesh. I just mean I don't make much anymore. I don't really have the time for it. The tools and materials aren't exactly cheap either.
Everything has a price. It sounds like you're making excuses for something you're presumably passionate about. If you really want to practice art, a little out of your wallet isn't much.
Especially all the money that you're gonna get from this mansion? Yeah.
It's not that simple.
It's not. Life's simple. People just like to make it complex. Speaking off the record, I have some advice for you, kid. Either go for what you want, or stop thinking about it when you have something else. That is unless you enjoy making yourself miserable, then by all means.
You know, if you wanted to look at the floor plans without me bothering you, you could have just said so.
Would you have left me alone?
We'll never know now, will we?
A strained air settles in the room afterwards. It doesn't help that she doesn't immediately leave as she said, lingering awkwardly by the door with that downcast expression. It's clear there's words she means to say, perhaps even to defend herself and her choices in life. Was she expecting me to dish out more of that advice? It's an awkward affair, and I choose to hightail out of the I don't mean to say that. Out of the realty office as quick as I can. God! Though I am unable to keep myself professional at all times does not mean I like it. And seeing that most of the day has already gone by before I realized it, I chose to head back to my flat instead, despite today being a Saturday. No fun, but at least this way I could definitely avoid another unpleasant encounter. Considering how much I'll be seeing whiskey near the foreseeable future, I have a feeling I'll need all the rest the weekend could give me. For the first time in a long while, excited as I am to work on the mansion, I cannot wait to be over and done with this project. And this is Monday, so she is dead. Not Marion, but, Rose. Alright, okay. Marion visited BRC to pick up the floor plans. She was assisted by Isabella Santos, and the two shared a brief talk about art, which ended with Marion leaving a piece of advice to Isabella. Alright, let's save again, save you. Alright, set the story updated. Oops. Oh wow, that would have been a boring out. Okay. So it looks like there's that, and then two more choices, I guess? I don't know, hers is short. Her and Honda's are the shortest. And Zachary's is the longest. Monday couldn't come any sooner. After taking the floor plans from Ms. Santos the day before last, I spent most of my Sunday drawing up plans and calling in my suppliers. Although no design choices have been made yet, I'm sure they'd want the high-end appliances, the most expensive materials, and the most pretentious everything. They usually did these rich types, based on experience at least. Given how badly this whole thing started, it wouldn't hurt to be prepared. I have to check myself, make sure I'm not playing with my gloves as one of the other building tenants takes the elevator up with me. It makes me self-conscious when the woman's eyes go over me, and I'm sure she was going to point out some perceived flaw in my physical appearance. But I'm saved from being paranoid when they went off a few floors later. Still, the ride up to my floor is nerve-wracking. The Wrights lived at the very top, the penthouse, the creme de la creme when it comes to the condominium and urban living. Just getting access to the place is an ordeal of its own. I had to jump so many hoops, so many security checks, just to secure a key card. Not only because of the ability to manage it, but because of the Wrights' personal security. It sometimes felt like I was being interrogated for a crime, and not visiting a client at their home. Even when their personal assistant called in to help out and verify my presence, the process is aggravated rather than hastened. Speaking of the devil, the elevator opens, and I'm greeted by none other than Whiskey's not-so-little lackey.
I do apologize if I kept Mr. and Mrs. Wright waiting. But I'm here now, and I'm ready, so if I may, where are they?
They've just woken up, but they should be down soon. I'm surprised to see you made it through security. And only 5 minutes late.
You said I'd be through security soon, and it took half an hour. Define soon in this context.
I'd make myself comfortable if I were you. I'm going to go and put the kettle on.
About the tea, I don't want to intrude or anything.
The sir does not like being woken up by the whistling. But
well, he's
who
awake,
am I
so
to deny tea to a guest?
He shows me to the couch before drifting off towards the kitchen, quietly pulling out a teapot, cups, and all sorts of other things in preparation for tea. I ignore the animosity towards his employer that his words implied. Wouldn't be too surprised if Whiskey's own people don't like him. Accepting the quiet and isolation instead, I brace myself for what's to come. In this case, soon apparently means more than 5 minutes, or even 10. I sit in their living room, just waiting. And when the kettle starts whistling and the tea has been served, I continue to wait. At least the silence is relaxing. But then there's a crash. I nearly spill the tea all over my lap in surprise, and I look up expecting security to come running. Even the man at the kitchen counter continues to fix breakfast like he heard nothing. I don't want to speak up about it because he looks far too absorbed in his cooking. I don't want to be the cause of burnt food or worse. However, there's something in me that just wants to figure out what that was, although I am normally not this nosy. What should I do then? I'm curious. Let's check it out. The crash came from the hallway, and I really shouldn't be snooping about. But it's just concern. Yeah, concern that urges me to check it out. Sneaking a glance at the butler, I could snooze her sneaking off, but...
Excuse me, but where's the loo?
He barely looks my way before pointing a spatula towards the hallway. It's a good excuse as any. And if I'm caught lingering longer than I should, I can just excuse myself and to say that I wasn't sure which door led to where. Still, looking into the hallway reveals nothing. I don't see anything that might have caused the crash. The hallway, like the rest of the place, is in pristine condition. There's something in there, though. There's several doors for not only the toilet, but also, presumably, rooms for their butler and other members of the staff. As I stand there, however, something feels definitely out of place. One of the doors, the nearest within my reach, stands ajar. From inside, a light flickers incessantly. It could simply be a light bulb that needs replacing. But the thought of it in a place so well taken care of seems odd. I think that maybe this is where the crash came from. Inside, I can spy a radio lying on the floor. That's probably it, right? Maybe wanted the help in a hurry to get out of the room, knocked over in the process. If that's all it is, I should really leave it alone. As I turn to leave, the sound of static fills the air and a man's tinny voice interrupts the silence.
At 7 in the morning, students found a 5th year dead.
Why am I still standing here?
Assumed to have fallen from her dormitory window.
This seems familiar, doesn't it?
Authorities are investigating the possibility of foul play.
Like I've heard it before.
Reporting from St. Samthins, Shane
Samthins.
McLaughlin of Galway Bay, AM.
Oh, isn't that where she went to school? Oh, hi! I recoil, backing away from whatever that was. In the process, I trip backwards on my feet, and I wait for the pain of flying flat on my back. But instead, I feel a hand on my back and see the smug smile of, well, guess who?
Oh, don't tell me you're reporting to work drunk, Mint.
Of course, I know exactly who that voice belongs to. It just has to be him.
Marianne McCullough, hammered on the job? That would be something.
But
Wouldn't dream of it, Whiskey. You're allowed to be if you wanted, though it's a bit early for it. So thanks for the save.
really, it is much appreciated. Even though the circumstances during our first meeting were not savory or wholesome, I can't bring myself to completely look at Mr. Wright in a bad light. I can. Nothing came out of it after all.
It's no trouble at all. I've been told I have a gift for catching pretty ladies.
Sheesh, phone.
Being a great catch myself.
Is that so? Would you say you'll be able to catch if another man were to pitch?
Perhaps. But I wouldn't. I don't play
sorry.
baseball. Mint.
Right. Of course you don't.
I can't help but chuckle at my little joke, but it looks like it completely went over his head. If he had understood it, I guess it would have been inappropriate. He is my client after all. Speaking of which, where's Mrs. Wright? Whatever little camaraderie I had with Whiskey is forgotten, however. I straighten up and glance behind him, only to find that he's on his own. Mrs. Wright is still absent. I still remember my place and why I'm here. Excuse me. To continue in such a manner with our husband would feel like a breach of trust between my client and I.
Since you are here, I don't suppose Mrs. Wright is on her way down? It is 10:30 after all.
She'll be down here in a moment. For now, you have me.
Yay.
Can't I just chat with a good friend?
No. I can't tell if it went up or down. I think it went down. Alright. Marian visited the Wrights' penthouse to discuss work with the couple. While waiting for them, Marian decided to investigate a violent crash she heard. In the hallway, there was something odd. Okay, so this will be the same day that Isabella gets attacked, right? Yes. So this is the morning. This happens at night. Too bad it doesn't put them in order of time or in time, like the time code, like what time of day it was.
I don't think a night where we talk like two drunk Egypts makes us good friends. And if you have any bit of sense, it's better to forget that night ever happened.
What? Why not? It was a good night, if a bit boring.
You know exactly why. We both know what your intentions were that night. And to find out that you're married? If there's even an ounce of decency in you, if you'd like the world to be a little less messed up, you'll remember your wife and what you almost did to your Mrs. Wright.
It's better to get that out of the way once and for all.
Well, no need to be such a killjoy about it.
The dinner between us, because it can't be anything else but that, is broken as a lively voice calls out from the loft.
Marianne! I hope I haven't kept you waiting too long. I know we agreed we'd start at 10 o'clock, but mornings just simply do not agree with me. Not one bit. It's been like this since I've been in university.
It's 5 minutes to 11 o'clock. These high-end clients sure like to be fashionably late. I'm used to it, though, much like how I'm used to so many years of hearing people mispronounce my name. Besides, berating or correcting my client would be extremely impolite. And Marianne doesn't sound too bad when she says it. To be fair, it doesn't seem like she's late on purpose.
I see you're up, darling. You know, you could have woken me up as well. Were you showing Marianne around? Not that there's much to see. This place is so tiny compared to the mansion.
It's too big. I'm more worried about the way she stares at me, judging. Such a look. It doesn't show her pretty face at all. Just seeing Mrs. Wright reminds me too much of her. And maybe I'm starting to hear her again, see her again when I shouldn't. I should have left it all behind, forgotten it. To think she would be looking at me that way. I could just feel my hands tremble.
Oh yes, just showing her around and getting to know each other. Isn't that right, Marianne?
Yes, of course. And your butler was making breakfast a while ago. So if you want to get right to that...
Breakfast would be lovely.
There's no denying the clients when they invite me over to the table. Though it's too personal to share a meal in their home, I would be terribly rude to deny their invitation. Besides, the pancakes did look and smell heavenly. A bowl of clotted cream, that does not sound good, syrups, fruit syrups, jams, and other spreads are laid out next to them, making for a colorful arrangement. If this was a brunch with friends, I would gladly help myself to the whole lot. But as it is, I accepted just a few pieces of pancakes and topped it off with lemon and sugar.
You know, I was a tiny bit serious when I said I wanted a helipad.
And you're not serious about the greenhouse, the vineyard, and the stables?
Well, I do want those too, but I know you'll agree to those.
We're talking about interiors here, honey. You don't handle exterior designs and... Whatever handles those sorts of projects do you, Marianne?
I'm able, actually, and willing to take a project of that nature. I was an architect in Ireland before. Of course, that's another contract entirely.
Yeah, how about we focus on the inside of the house first?
I also suggest we finish the house itself before working on any additions to the rest of the property. There won't be any problems about ownership this time, will there? Pardon if I'm crossing a line, but the acquisition was rather quick.
Oh, don't you worry. We've got everything sorted this time around. I've talked to Miss Cooper and Mr. John from BRC, as well as the old owners. Everything has been paid in full, and all we're waiting for is the paperwork from the land registry. They're letting us move in as soon as we please. It's not like they were living there in the first place.
That's good to hear. The problems that could arise from renovating another person's home would be...
very bad.
Let's not dwell on it. First off, we'll want to know how you want the place to look. It's pretty furnished as is, but I understand if you want to modernize the whole thing.
Actually, I'd prefer to keep the place looking as it is, but at the same time, I want modern appliances. You worked on the Ludgate's Christchurch summer residence.
It would make sense, though.
I do remember there being an oven I thought was a simple drawer before. Make them look vintage, antique, blend in with the rest of the decor.
Customize appliances, then. I can't find someone for that, and if you can't tell me what you specifically want, it'll hasten up the process. We're talking about electronic appliance manufacturers. If you have a preferred brand to work with.
Splendid! So, what is next on our agenda? All the other interior designers we've hired in the past did not have us this involved.
That's not... I stop. What sort of half-baked designer did that? If I knew who they were, I would have words. This isn't the time for or place for it, however. Instead, I used this brief pause to pull out the floor plans I brought with me.
We'll have to figure out what you want to do with the rooms. Here, we can have a quick run through.
What is that little room next to the master's bedroom?
Oh, as far as I could tell when I saw it, it's a second bedroom of sorts. Used, apparently, for the ladies-in-waiting who has served Lady Charlotte Ermengarde. Which is strange, as that isn't the norm for these sorts of houses.
Really?
Well, we're not stuffing Johans in there. He won't fit. You don't suppose we could turn it into a walk-in closet and a dressing room?
I love fashion, but do we really need to turn an entire room into a walk-in closet, dear?
Apparently.
We'll have large closets and a wardrobe in the bedroom already.
Says the one who takes 3/5 of our closet. Well, what do you suggest we do with it?
I thought a utility room of some sort would be nice. A craft room where I can do fun things. Or maybe a children's room might be nice. You know, for when Kylie comes over. Or if Rochelle visits once she's had a baby.
Rochelle will never be back.
1, you are not inviting that witch. And 2, there's a whole mansion for Kylie to play in. We don't need a children's room, and you don't even do arts and crafts. I'd like to turn the guest's room and the study into my personal office, by the way, if you don't mind.
You can turn it into a personal office if I can have my utility room. It's just the one room of the many. I'm taking that room for myself, no matter what you say, dearie. So you might as well take this deal. You're always out doing business anyway. The real problem is the theater. Whatever are we going to do with all that space?
Fine, we could turn it into our own personal cinema, I suppose.
Yay.
Might as well have it, if you plan on not having a telly in the parlor.
Yes, well, I don't want guests to be glued to the telly when they come over for a meal and some tea. By the looks of things, we can keep the rooms as what they are on the ground floor, though. The ballroom would be perfect for parties.
What about the second
Do we
quarters?
really need a dining hall, though? I don't suppose we can't convert it into a garage.
What?
What for? You can park your cars outside.
What about the kitchen? The kitchen is right there.
What about that room? Right there, in the northeast corner.
That's sleeping quarters for the household help?
Oh, that is perfect! Johans will be glad if we have other staff members who stayed in. It'd be convenient so they don't have to make the trip from Luxbourne to the mansion when they're needed.
You'll definitely need a lot more people to maintain a property of this size.
Yeah. But hey, can they all fit in there?
The mansion is really a lot bigger than I thought. Look at all these rooms. I didn't even know there was a music room next to the parlor because of what happened.
There was a grand piano in there too, when we checked during the tour.
Did you hear that, Luke? Maybe you can take up playing the piano again.
Yay.
Oh, you should have seen him when we were younger, Marianne.
It's not like I was very good with the thing.
Oh, hush you. You were no Mozart, but I loved hearing you play nonetheless. He'd come over to my home and he'd play such fun tunes. He'd sing too, and I'd dance, and it was just...
Mr. Wright playing the piano? I can't imagine it. But the earnest way in which Mrs. Wright said so told otherwise.
Anyway, what do you think of these plans, Marianne?
Are we not even going to consider one of my requests? Not even just a closet or just a garage? Now, that isn't fair, is it? You're not the only one who's going to be living here.
I hardly see how that's unfair. I told you you're getting your office and your theater, the greenhouse, the vineyard, and the stables. That sounds fair, does it not, Marianne?
Well, it does sound fair due to the fact that she gets the utility room, / eventually probably children's room, and he gets all this other shit. I think it sounds fair, to be quite honest. Actually, I don't want to look at that. Alright, a very spooked Marion accidentally bumped into Luke Wright. Although things were awkward between the two, Marion insisted they keep things professional and simply forget about what happened nights ago. Alright, and I want to look at the... You know what, no. It sounds fair. I can't, I think his went down again, but you know what, I don't care. Mrs. Wright has her points, though I really didn't want to butt into the spat of a husband and wife. But with the way the two were looking at me to settle this, I might as well just keep to the facts instead of giving opinion.
Mr. Wright, your plan isn't quite feasible from an architectural perspective. I'm not even sure how much we can do without closer inspection. Well, the one about the garage, at least. A walk-in closet is easy enough, but the garage?
See, a garage isn't architecturally feasible and it isn't going to be financially sound as well. We're already going to spend a lot on your other requests. You have several acres of land to park on already.
What? Did you calculate that on the fly? Financially sound my foot. You're probably just thinking up of imaginary numbers.
Might I remind you that I was a financial manager? I also looked over and approved the expenses of our other houses. I know the rough costs of these things by now, love. Masters in Business Administration, major in accounting. Sometimes I think you forget that I'm not as dumb as I act.
That catches my attention more than anything. It sounds more unbelievable than Whiskey playing the piano. She really didn't seem like the type.
Business administration and accounting? What university?
Luxborn U, of course. Go Lux Dragons, red and gold.
Excuse me, how about we move on this chit-chat ahead and do whatever else needs to be done sometime today? I had to cancel my appointments for this, you know.
Oh, wow.
We might as well do a proper inspection with the designer this time, just to get it out of the way.
Yes, no time like the present. You want a thorough inspection? Might as well do it now. We actually took another look at the property yesterday, though it was brief. But I'm sure you would want to see it yourself, to spot anything we might have missed.
It's not like I have much of a choice, do I? Running to the Ermengarde mansion in the Wrights is an awkward affair. Not only am I worried about scuffing the expensive leather seats, but also worried about getting in the middle of another couple's spat. The tension thick in the air, I can feel them staring at each other any time. Nobody is saying anything, up until Mr. Wright tells his valet to turn the damn radio off. And for a moment, I think that he might start. But instead, he just says quiet, and so do the rest of us. In the end, the suffocating silence stays. Alright. Afternoon. I was like, when did I say time? Never mind. I've never been so glad to see a house. Stepping out of the car and up to the mansion meant the end of an uncomfortable ride, and I could finally take a deep breath of fresh air. The beauty of the place never fails to make me gaze and wonder every time I see it as well. Mrs. Wright moves towards the front door, keys in hand, and I can already hear Mr. Wright plotting.
Alright, Hans, we're going to go in, but I want you to look around the place. Familiarize yourself with it. Know every nook and cranny, every inch of the lot. Go and see where we can put that vineyard and the other things we talked about. We'll want to know where to station security as well, so go around the perimeter and figure it out.
Scout the property and circle the perimeter on foot.
Yes.
You do know this is 46 acres of land, sir?
Yes. Do it anyway.
Well, you are not driving a car over the grass. Put those long, spidery legs of yours to good use. I didn't hire you to stand around and look intimidating. Go, mush.
Someday, I'd like to ask how Johannes can even stand and tolerate the man. Why doesn't he just quit? Certainly the pay can't be that good. Even I'm a bit put off by our mutual employer, and the only thing that keeps me from bailing is the fact that we've already signed a contract. At least, I'll only be working with them during the duration of the project. He works with them every day.
Sometimes I think you hired me to make me suffer for your amusement.
Someday I'd ask. I feel a bit bad for him. If it's any consolation, he'll be away from Mr. Wright, if only for a little while. We're able to enter the I didn't mean to hit that. We're able to enter the mansion a bit after standing out there in the sun. This wretched, strange sunlight is far too alien and rare. There had been a bit of a problem with the missus not knowing which key was which. The first item on the agenda would be the grand staircase. It seems sturdy during the open house, but a closer inspection might say otherwise. There are no obvious marks of damage nor wear and tear, probably rethreaded during the renovations. Peeking under the grand carpet, the wood is properly installed with the bark placed down to prevent cupping. The carpet itself could use a vacuum, though. Structural conditions, from what I can see without actually dismantling the thing, look to be in good shape, and the handrails and support posts are firm. The work on it should be commended. I can't look much more at the rest of the foyer, however, because Mr. Wright starts to hurry us in to check in the dining hall.
So, what do you think? Certainly we can't turn this area into a garage.
It's Jacobean architecture. I'd say these would be pilasters and not buttresses, but you never really know. They really liked mixing up these elements. You could say it was pretty avant-garde at the time. We might hit a support beam if we're not careful.
Yeah, and you don't want half of your house coming down.
And in layman's terms?
From what I see here, we could risk great damage to the house if we try to turn the dining hall into a garage.
The man didn't look too pleased at this. There's a look of disappointment before he sighs and looks around the place with an air of defeat. When he moves to speak, I draw another unreasonable demand. Again.
This will stay a dining hall then. But if I may have another request instead, at least spruce the place up with some flowers, some plants or something. It feels so old and dead in here.
That's hardly unreasonable. Daffodils are a must, I presume.
The look that passes between the two of them, there's a genuine look of fondness there. This is the first time I've seen such an exchange between the two of them. Okay, yeah, this is like the only time I've seen it so far. And we're on chapter 4. If anyone were to see them like this, there's little doubt that they loved each other.
Of course, and I want a garden full of them. Now, if you excuse me, I'd like to look at the rest of the house. I'll just be around here downstairs, if anybody needs me.
That leaves Mrs. Wright and I.
He's quite fond of them, you know.
I can imagine. He looked terribly upset when we told him he can't have his garage.
I meant the daffodils. We always have a vase full of them in every house we own. Somewhere, I'd like to think. They may be about his mother. He never talks about her. I don't even know her name. He likes to flatter, claim that they remind him of me, but he's always loved the flowers, even before we married.
Much like the piano, I didn't take it for a person who liked flowers. Daffodils, least of all. What's next? We're going to find out that Mr. Wright saves kittens from burning buildings.
I'll go and snoop about upstairs.
Don't go into the attic, please.
You go and do whatever it is that you have to do.
When she goes without even asking if I need her here, I'm left standing to stare at the walls. Really, I don't need to do a thorough inspection of the building itself. It isn't really part of an interior designer's job. But the architect in me is committed to doing this task with every project. If I'm going to make a living space that have both form and function, I might as well make sure the entirety of it's safe for my clients. Since I'm already here, I run around the dining hall to check things off my punch list, if you will. But when it's time to move, I hesitate. Mr. Wright said he would be somewhere around here on the ground floor, and I really didn't want to be alone with whiskey. I have to look through the place eventually, sure, but on the other hand, I can do it later when he's gone. I can go upstairs first if I want to. Which floor should I don't want to be alone with him. I'm scared to be alone with fucking... Okay, journal. Holy shit, we keep getting more for the journal. The mansion's arrangements were discussed over breakfast. During the meeting, the Wright couple had an argument about the mansion's arrangements. In the end, they decided a visit will settle it. Oh, God. Do we want to go upstairs or stay on this floor? Oh! Alright, actually... Oh my goodness, excuse me. Anyway, I think I'm going to leave this here. Next episode, we'll go and talk to whoever. Alright, we're like halfway through Marion's already. So, yeah. We're like halfway through. Huh. And, okay, before I end this off, I was kind of wondering if that maybe each character might have a chance to die. Because if you look at Zachary's, there's like 3 endings to get to Marion. There's one where you enter the phone, you don't go to the mansion, and then you go to Marion's. But then there's one, if you go into the mansion, you go through the window, and you end up dying at the hands of possessed Hana. So I'm like wondering if each of them might have an ending like that, but Marion doesn't seem like she has one. So Zachary is the only one so far. Because I think Hana's is like no matter what you do, she does get possessed. I think. Maybe? I think. Oh no, ending 1. Okay, so I could have not got her possessed if I did the right thing. Oh. What is it? I can't click on them. Oh, so I could have not gotten her possessed. Oh, well, I feel like I fucked up. Oops. And then, so there's 3. And the one, I think these 2 might have been somewhere at the house. And then, okay, so, oh, so I like fucked up. I think Marion could not, or not Marion, Hana could probably not have been possessed. I feel bad now. But anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. Leave a like if you liked it, leave a comment if you liked it, and I'll see you guys in the next episode. Bye! This is between the two of us. I'm afraid. Fully afraid of her. This ain't Hana. The forest rail is my back as soon as my shoulders hit it. A hindrance. Not the freedom, but the safety.
Has anyone ever told you how beautiful those eyes of yours are?
That's nice, Hana, but can you just stay away from me?